Hey, what's up, friends from El Tri Online? This is Joe Rodriguez, and welcome to the ETO podcast, episode number 22, here with my good pal, El Super Mojado. What's up, Super?
Hey, what's up, Joe? Glad to be back.
Whoa, he's jumping ahead.
Did you hear anything?
Yep, I heard him. He's jumping ahead of the gun. Our very good guest, our good pal, a friend of El Tri Online, Max Brados. Max, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. I'm just Super Mario goes, hey, I'm glad to be back.
Hey, Max.
Hey, you never know.
The one and only Super Mojado.
Max, really quick, man. Let's talk a little bit Mexico, dude. We're going to start off talking about them playing in this Nations League. First of all, I want to get your thoughts on the Nations League as a whole, man. What do you think about it, man?
It's not, I mean, look, this is the direction it's going, and every region's going to be very specific to catering to those regions' needs. And CONCACAF is looking to grow, and it's some growth that will benefit other teams. I think it's good for, obviously, it's good for Canada that's getting ready to play the United States, and it's a tournament that Panama can be excited about. But the first looks at that we have certain these games. I just look at the Mexico Bermuda. We're gonna get that game again in November, and then there's important stuff happening in Europe. There's important stuff happening around the world, and there's just so many limitations on this league that even at its very best, we're gonna have to deal with games like what we saw this past week. So I think CONCACAF has a problem with this. This is, unfortunately, this is the direction we're going. I mean, I think we all love to see Mexico and the U.S. Play European teams or South American teams with more frequency, but I don't think we're going to get that opportunity. And I think also with Mexico and the U.S., the rest of CONCACAF is really struggling right now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a good time for Panama. They're going through their old generation's gone. Honduras is really looking for an identity, and several other countries are in the same boat. So it doesn't really help Mexico or the U.S.
right. And it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, we all know that that's the region that we're in. That's the region that Mexico's in. That's the region that the United States is in. Super. So, what did you make of the Mexico game against Bermuda?
Well, it's more of the same, man. It's transition. We got to play these games, and obviously, people were expecting like 10-0, 12-0, but when they play these kind of games, they play like half the pace that they would play against other teams, because you got to take into consideration that some of these guys, they're not careful enough. They can get injured, and you don't want that.
Yeah.
So I think it was fair, 5-1. It's just a fair score, and that's what we expected.
Hey, Max, do you think a 5-1 result for Tata and company, is that a bad result? What did you make of the result itself?
I don't think it's a bad result, but I think what Mojado says is very true. It's like at some point you're playing Bermuda and says, look, I can beat this guy 9 out of 10 times. I can cross that ball in every time. And I think at some point players see the superiority they have on an opponent, and they're not going to go full bore. It's just, I guess, something that your body goes through or adjusts to. They knew very early on that they were much better. Same with USA and Cuba. And I think you start cataloging other things that may be important, namely, don't get injured. And where am I? What are we doing here? What are we playing this for? So it's I don't think you could ever see the very best out of these teams because of the limitations of the opponent.
Right. Okay. Now, the U.S. ended up beating Cuba 7-0. A little bit more of a convincing result. You can say that Cuba is a tougher opponent than Bermuda. Super. So, same thing. Just because it's Cuba, is that just a better result for the U.S.?
No, it's, again, this is like, luck also comes into consideration. Like you said, they're lower teams, and sometimes you're gonna get this type of scores because of the kind of teams that we have, and now that used to happen a lot more in the past. We remember when Mexico used to play these kind of teams, 13-0, 9-0. We got that time where Sague scored 9 goals in one game
against
so,
San Vicente.
yeah, so
Yeah.
this is gonna happen. So and it's a transition, but it doesn't just happen here. It happened in Europe just recently. Belgium scored 9-0 to San Marino, I believe it was. So
Right, yeah, really weak team.
it's just
That's San
right.
Marino. San Marino is the size of my living room.
But some of these islands
are
are like this in CONCACAF.
half of their
so.
team are brothers.
You're right. That's right.
Right.
Carpenters.
Well, I mean, remember that good old rant by Twaman when the U.S. failed to
Yeah.
qualify, and he compared Trinidad to who? What was that? What was the city that he compared them to?
No, he said Iceland. He goes, Iceland's the size of Corpus Christi, or Anaheim.
Right. So Max, what did you make of the U.S.? I mean, what did you make of the result?
First of all, I'd like to say Zage is a great social media follow.
I can imagine.
Oh man.
A lot of fitness. The guy's in great
Right.
shape.
Focus, Max. Focus.
This is what you wanted, you two. This is what you want. Hey, look, it was a waste of time. I'm Cuban, and I'm watching this game, and that was a shell of a national team. So many guys defecting, and Cuba's just been decimated with everything. There's just nothing. They used to be good at so many other things. I don't think they're really good. They're not really producing great baseball players anymore. I think that nation's kind of just run out of resources and not really putting much into any of these. Those guys gave a good effort, but they were down a goal 13 seconds, and they were down another, and it was a record hat trick, and clearly the United States could have scored 12 or 13. I wonder if people think they did. They absolutely could have, but I think to what Mojado was saying is that they turn it off a bit because they have to, and everything was coming so easily. So this is our region. This is what we have to deal with. I guess Cuba qualified ahead of some other teams that honestly should be looking at themselves long in the mirror that they finished behind Cuba, because Cuba is really bad. And I just found it really depressing to watch that. But I don't think, and I think the most important thing is the United States needs to get something positive out of it. And I really can't imagine what they could have gotten, because they not only played Cuba, but they played maybe the worst Cuban team we've seen since I can remember, since they weren't really playing soccer maybe 30, 40 years ago.
Hey, Max, I'm going to really quickly play Tata Martino's soundbite. He's been asked about, obviously, this situation time and time again, as far as the type of region or the region that Mexico plays in. So let's hear what he had to say. And this was today.
Bueno, pero me parece que esto es algo también que se ha sucedido con el paso de los años, ¿no? México, como Estados Unidos y tal vez Costa Rica, son de los selecciones más importantes de esta conferencia, porque además los números así lo indican, son los habituales ganadores de la Copa Oro, son los que habitualmente concurren a las Copas del Mundo. Entonces, cuando estas selecciones tienen que dar un paso hacia adelante para crecer, ese paso se da compitiendo contra las mejores selecciones. Y las mejores selecciones, la gran mayoría, están en Europa, algunas de ellas están en Sudamérica, y eso intuyo yo que son los rivales que nos van a hacer crecer. Y esta generación de un torneo, además de la Copa de Oro y además de la eliminatoria, como la National League, nos impide tener esos partidos que nosotros entendemos que ayudarían al crecimiento de México. Pero se me ocurre también que no es nada nuevo lo que yo estoy diciendo, solo que a través del tiempo la sensación es que va empeorando, porque a la Copa Oro y a la eliminatoria ahora se le agrega un torneo oficial más. Y entonces, como no tenemos posibilidades de crecer compitiendo con los rivales de más relevancia, lo que hacemos es mezclar a los grandes con los más jóvenes, aprovechando que los más jóvenes también tienen dos competencias muy importantes en el próximo año, en el primer semestre, y entonces sacar conclusiones y mejorar la competencia que nosotros tenemos dentro de la selección. Vamos tratando de arreglar lo que nosotros entendemos y provocar un crecimiento mayor, aunque creo que lo más importante sería, una vez más lo digo, competir contra los mejores, jugar la Copa América, que los equipos jueguen la Copa Libertadores.
Okay, Max. So, I picked up two interesting points from there. Very long-winded Tata Martino, by the way.
Well, you can play as much as you want of that.
It's Tata pointed out that the fact that this became an official tournament now basically tied up the national teams. Now they don't even get an opportunity to chase after the the good friendlies, right?
Right. It's as he said, he pointed out, look, if Mexico and United States, and he included Costa Rica, and I think it's fair to, and it's the right thing to include them there too. I think Costa Rica is another country that's probably going to go through a dip before it comes back with a next generation. So I think realistically, let's focus on Mexico and the United States. In order for them to get better, they have to face those teams in Europe. And he mentioned, I thought it was interesting, being a South American, he's been very real about it. He said there's a few of those countries in South America. I mean, he even knows South America is in a dip as well. So, I mean, like countries like Colombia out there and Argentina and Brazil. But then after that, some of these countries are looking to find their footing again. Paraguay, Ecuador, Uruguay is probably close to the top. But that's not the important issue here. It's just that he knows that's the only reason for growth. And you have to agree with him. You've got to compete against those teams, and playing in the Copa Libertadores, playing in the Copa America, if you could. Maybe, just this is all pie in the sky that if Mexico and the United States move to CONMEBOL, kind of like how Australia moved to Asia from the Oceanic Federation, which has helped them. They've made every World Cup and they've definitely progressed as a nation. That's not going to happen.
But the problem's the money here, though. Typically, that's what it boils down to, right?
The money's gonna hold it down, and Mexico makes so much money playing here in the United States, and all these competitions, people come out. So I think realistically, you have to look at the detriment it's going to, the impediment, as what Tata said, it's going to have on these programs. And if we want to refocus realistically, it's going to be hard to imagine Mexico and U.S. competing with those top European teams, let alone make a World Cup semifinal. I mean, we're talking about making the knockout stages.
Right. I think a lot of Mexican fans have to be realistic that is really the only way that Mexico is going to get better. The fact that, we play in this region, again, not our fault. It's just the way that things are. But in order for them to, get better, they do have to play against the best. I want to really quickly just remind everybody, we teased these a little bit earlier on our Instagram, and we want to let you know that we're going to be giving away a special gift at the end of the show. We're going to be playing a little bit of trivia. So for those of you guys listening on YouTube, all you got to do is reply the correct answer. You're going to have 30 seconds, so that way there's no cheating or anything like that, or you don't have all the time in the world to...
Is that your crowd? What's going on here? No cheating.
No cheating.
You brought the crowd.
Yeah, no cheating. We're going to give people 30 seconds to make sure that they get their answers in. So whoever ends up getting the most correct answers from our listeners, that's who's going to win the prize, all right? So we're going to start off with our first question. Let's see if Max knows this. All right, so
oh boy, let's go.
Actually, wait, no, that's not it. Here it is. So first question, Super.
All right. So
who scored the third goal in El Tri's last game versus Bermuda? All right, so that's the very first question. In the meantime, those of you guys on YouTube have 30 seconds to answer correctly, and you'll get a point for every correct answer. So, hey, Max, did you happen to catch Chucky Lozano missed that penalty kick?
Yeah, he was. Look, that's perfectly good. I'm amazed. They put together a good starting 11 in that game, and Chucky Lozano. I mean, he'll have better days, but certainly it wasn't pretty.
Yeah. Chucky actually didn't have the best of games.
He had a goal, though. He had a goal.
Right?
Yeah, he did.
Scored
he did.
one. Yeah.
What did you make of Mexico's youngsters? Did you get a chance to see some of them? Are any of them impressing you?
I am really impressed with Mexico. I think there's, where you have the cutoff line, like, Eric Aguirre, who's coming up there. Diego Lainez is getting a bit better. And what? I'm not barely at my wife's. Thank you. I got it.
The magic of live broadcast.
Diego Lainez is, I think, is a long-term project, but I think that's someone who I think will become a more featured player. He's just so small. JJ Macias, obviously a little bit older, and that guy is really impressive. Anytime you wear the number 10 shirt for Mexico, that carries a lot of weight. So I like him. I like it. I like all the Mexico players. I mean, when they played the U.S., they looked so much better. They were in control. Not the Gold Cup final, but the game they played in September, they were just running all over. So the golden generation, we're looking, not the golden generation, but like the current group that between 25 and 29 are great, and the new generation are just as good. If I was Mexico, I'd be really ecstatic. It's just the fact that these kind of competitions aren't going to help them.
Hey, Max, so do you know the answer to that first question?
Was it Macias?
Oh, yeah.
We got a winner.
Oh, because he scored 2, right? He scored 2.
Yeah, that was right. So, all right, Max, we're going to switch gears now. We're going to talk a little MLS playoffs. Obviously, you're the play-by-play announcer for the LAFC, Los Angeles Football Club. They get a first-round bye, so a lot of people out there are excited about the possibilities that LAFC has to win the MLS Cup. So I want to talk right away to you and ask you, who would LAFC prefer to play in the next round?
I think a lot of people within the club would prefer to play the Galaxy. I don't think everybody does. I think the fans would like to see that because they would love to finish a season if they do win MLS Cup, that they can beat the Galaxy along the way. But there is a group of folks that probably feel maybe within the club they have a better shot to beat Minnesota. And there's also, because they lost to Minnesota at Bank of California Stadium, but the last time they played in Minnesota, LAFC they were running around them pretty easily. Granted, this would be another defensive iceberg from Minnesota as they would defend exclusively against LAFC until a goal is scored. I think it's important to face the Galaxy. I think it's a great opportunity. If you don't beat them, then it wasn't meant to be. But this would surely add to making this a special season. And I guarantee you, if they win MLS Cup and they don't beat the Galaxy, there's not that to make it right. It's not right, but there's going to be people talking about it. It's gonna irk the LAFC inner circle because you want to beat the Galaxy. And you win MLS Cup, but a Galaxy will always say you got to beat us. So I think what a great opportunity.
Right? Why do you think LAFC has had such a hard time against the Galaxy? What makes them so difficult?
It's I think more practical reasons is you don't have a real natural answer. For Zlatan, it would be Walker Zimmerman, but the way the LAFC defenders play, they're not going to sit there and kind of isolate on the forward. They're not going to play him that much. It's a good matchup in a lot of ways for the Galaxy. The rest of it, though, is hard to comprehend. It obviously is in their head a lot of the time. I think the bad part, the last time they played, they fell down 2 goals so early, and then they were down 3-1. But then they were the much better team in the second half. But I think you just got to deal with that and say, hey, look, we are better than they are at most positions. We are the best team in the league. We should not be doing this. But even if you go back to the game they had earlier this year at Dignity Health Sports Park, LAFC got the quick start there, and at the end, the Galaxy really had them, had them at their mercy.
Do you think if the LA Galaxy end up coming out victorious in Minnesota and end up also defeating LAFC, are they MLS Cup champs? Do they have the best chances?
I think it'd be tough because you're asking a team in the Galaxy to win on the road at Minnesota, 4 days later win on the road at Bank of California Stadium, and then 5 days later, unless something goes bizarre on the other end, you'll have to win in Seattle, possibly.
Right.
They might have a home game, but it's potentially 3 road games, which would make it very difficult for them. And nobody really likes their chances to win in Minnesota. It's going to be cold. It's a tough place to play, and it's not a great matchup. I think it's like the 538, which is that data engine that ESPN uses, has Minnesota as a 62% favorite, which is really high for a 4-5 game, which basically 2 teams that finish right next to each other in the standings.
Right.
And their defense sucks.
Yeah, well, that too. Their defense sucks. They give up a lot of goals.
So
I could have just shortened my whole answer to that. I think they're a lot better. It's true. It's true. There's a lot of question marks when you look at the Galaxy, but they have, they've made it through barely. I mean, they did not have a great regular season. There was a couple times where they wanted to make the playoffs, but give them credit, they scored goals. Zlatan scored a ton of goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just
They have a wild card in Pavon who's been there just a little bit. That is a class player that you have to put a name on.
Yeah, no, he's done a heck of a job. But then also you mentioned Zlatan. I mean, Zlatan single-handedly, it's really difficult for him to carry the team. But I mean, he's just an exceptional player. That he's a game changer, right?
Just scores goals. I mean, he gets a position and he scores goals. He converts. He's still really strong and really skilled, and there's not a lot of good defenders that can compete with that on a regular basis in Major League Soccer. But even worldwide, that guy can hit. You know, he can hit ball from 25 yards. He can header. He can hit a free kick. He just scored in so many ways. He's a goal scoring machine.
Yeah, absolutely right, man. Hey, so we're gonna actually really quick go to our question number 2 for our little giveaway, Max. Let's see, question number 2. Here we go. Oh, this is a tough one. Who is in third place of Mexico's all-time leading scorers list? Don't answer that yet, because the folks there they have to answer that. But
so 30 seconds, guys. 30 seconds.
we know Chicharito's number 1.
All right, don't give it away. Now you're trying to.
Hey, wait. Well, we all know Chicharito's number 1. That's where I'll keep it. Hey, by the way, do you see Chicharito coming to MLS?
I don't think he wants to.
Mm.
I mean, he's been given a lot of opportunities. I want to go back to Spain. I think there was a lot of interest from Chicago. Going to Chicago, remember that's where Cuauhtemoc went,
Right.
and there's a great potential for a Mexican star. And I don't know how much there was chatter they'd come to LA, but it didn't really seem like it's something he wanted to do. I mean, obviously he'd make a ton of money, and it'd be great for the league. But we keep pushing it off. When is he going to come here? He's still going to be a huge investment, but they're going to have to pay him crazy money. You're going to have to pay him beyond what he is worth on the field because of what he is worth in the club store and merchandise.
Exactly.
And PR.
Yes.
So
and
that comes with another price tag.
I mean, he will definitely come. I think he's gonna end up coming. I think so. But
Well, when he's 38,
playing the way he's playing, he's still Europe. Type of player. So
he didn't play great at West Ham.
But
Yeah.
but
Better at
now
Sevilla, but
He disappointed, right? I mean, your
he
hammers.
didn't play at all. He didn't play at all. It was a wasted experience. For
well,
him. It had
that
to
was
be.
a wrong move on his part. I
Did Pellegrini just not like him, or what happened there?
no, dude. It's just
No,
that
it was like the tail end of Pellegrini came in, and this is his second year, and it was even the year before that Chicharito didn't really find a place. It was just, it wasn't the right fit. And I think Pellegrini brought in his players, and the players he brought in over the last couple of years, like Felipe, Lanzini's been there. He's a little deeper holding that they could do. They were looking for a striker. He had his chance, so they finally brought in Haller from Eintracht Frankfurt, and he's a guy who's scoring goals. So, there was a lot of guys that had a shot there, but West Ham weren't scoring.
Yeah, I don't think West Ham, it's like I said, I disagreed when he moved to West Ham. There's been, I think, 1 or 2 other players, Mexican players that went to West Ham, and they didn't really do that
Franco?
well. Yeah, and West Ham is not a team.
A great Mexicano.
Yeah,
Gigi
no.
Franco,
So
one of the greats.
no, definitely it was a wrong move. I would have stayed in Leverkusen actually. If I was in his place, I would have stayed.
Just when you say that, you just think about the incredible journey that Chicharito has had.
Right.
Through the years.
Yeah, he's been just
He's
about
been in a lot
everywhere.
of clubs.
Yeah, and he's done a heck of a job at the end of the day in many of them. And at the end of the day, he's a poacher, dude. And all he has to do is score goals. And as long as he scores goals, regardless of how, that's what teams want, right?
Right, but if he doesn't come soon to Major League Soccer, he's going to be a viejo poacher. And I don't know if that-
Well, but remember when Cuauhtemoc
know
Blanco
that-
came over, he wasn't a spring chicken. So
Yeah, that's true. I think Cuauhtemoc was like 37, 38 when he
Listen,
came to MLS.
I don't know. I know when he comes over, but you want him to be passionate about it. You
Yeah.
think, like Carlos Vela is. Carlos Vela is really passionate about it. Some of these guys, there's a great opportunity. This is a great spot for MLS to kind of look at the Mexican league and go, we've got these guys that I know you want. We have Vela, we have Chicharito, they had Marco Fabian, which that's a move that hasn't really worked out great. But they had Dos Santos. There's no doubt about that. Jonathan Dos Santos is somebody that most Mexican teams could want and use. So I think if you have more of those players, that's great for the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they gotta want it.
No, yeah. Hey, Max. So, give us your prediction for MLS Cup playoffs.
Well, it's going to be difficult for LAFC to make MLS Cup final. But if I'm picking a team, the only team you can really pick is LAFC because all the other ones are so inconsistent. If I told you the Portland Timbers are going to MLS Cup, it could happen. But what is behind me picking them to make it? So I can't. Seattle's been inconsistent. So I just because LAFC have been so consistent, unless you can give me a good reason why another team's going to win it, I think LAFC is going to make it, even though it's going to be very difficult in this new playoff format where it's 90 minutes and one and done. You got to do it. So I'll go with LAFC. I like New York City FC a lot, but it's hard to imagine everything's going to go to form there. And you tend to think Atlanta would love to spoil it for them. It's going to take a big performance from New York City FC, but I think the East is wide open as well, but I would tend to Atlanta. Let's go LAFC Atlanta, which would be a great final.
All right. Today they announced the finalists for the MVP race: Joseph Martinez, Zlatan, and Vela. Is that
Yeah,
what?
that was the
A
top
waste of
three
time
since
is
the
what that
beginning.
is. We
Right.
all know who the MVP is. I mean, I'm not being a homer here. This is just let's cut to it. If anyone thinks Zlatan is the MVP ahead of Carlos Vela, they are fumado. I don't know what you'd say.
Now,
It's crazy. You can't just
No.
because of the historic season LAFC had, the fact he played.
now they actually have to like
Well,
what is this like? How do they pick it? And I
Yeah,
thought it was like whoever
players-
played
Oh,
the
the
best.
media votes,
Right.
and they tabulate it. So
Yeah.
strange things can happen.
Yeah, but like you said, if they pick anyone but Carlos Vela, then we don't know what's going on.
Hey, where did Ramon pop up from? Photo of Ramon?
Ramon's actually going to be joining us right now in a second. He's our ETO specialist when it comes talking about the Philadelphia Union. So he's covering the Philadelphia Union
nice.
throughout the season. We're going to be talking about that in just a second. Hey, really quick before I forget, our question number 3.
Did you wanna?
Who won question number 2? Did somebody win it?
Yes. Well, yeah, we
who
can
was
give it
it?
away, right?
yeah.
All right,
Question-
so let's
let's
question
go-
number.
Borghetti's second, right?
Borghetti's second.
Yep.
Cuauhtemoc Blanco is third. So
Third.
we
So,
did
yeah.
we did get a somebody that guessed it right.
Okay, perfect.
Digit chaser.
Did you chase her? All right.
Yeah,
Good.
so you got it right, my friend. So
Good.
stay tuned because third question's coming up.
All right. Well, here's the third question. Max, you should know this one. If not, you should be ashamed of yourself. But definitely do not answer this right away because the guys have 30 seconds to answer. So question number 3 is, what is the combined number of goals and assists Vela obtained this 2019 MLS season?
Oh, that's a good one.
So obviously add the goals and the assists, and that's the number that we want.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I know the assist, but I'm not.
All right. Hey, by the way, what was your favorite goal from Vela this season, dude?
I think the goal they're calling the Houdini goal, where he skirted by. It has to be that one where he
Against
skirted by
the Earthquake?
We got the Earthquakes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember being up in the booth watching that, going, my mind's blown. It was incredible.
That
That's
yeah,
gotta be number one.
yeah. Actually, I was at Bank of California that day or night, I should say, and the goal, man. I remember some people there were like, "Whoa, this is the best goal ever," because when you saw it in real time, you were just like, "Holy smokes!" It appeared as though like he took like on the entire team, and the way that he was navigating through there, and then like that nice little juke on the goalkeeper as well. By the way, Vega is Vega the keeper for the Earthquakes? Is that his name? Vega, I believe. It almost appears though he wanted to take a little swipe at Vela after he scored that. Have you seen that?
Tranquilo Vega.
Right?
Yeah, and I love that. Well, Vela comes out the other end, and sometimes when he scores goals like that, you can see the 12, 13-year-old kid in his face, how he celebrates. It's just like this young kid just having fun.
But that's the thing too, like about I don't know if MLS would he had scored a goal like that in a different league, or do you think it's an MLS that they just kind of like?
I think he could have scored a goal like that. I mean, I think maybe trying something like that in another league would be difficult to pull off. I mean, you say I'm going to go skirt through 4 defenders, and in England it's a very physical league, so it's hard to not say that it would be different, that there'd be different leagues where you can pull that off.
All
There's
right.
probably something in the Major League Soccer that would facilitate that kind of goal.
All right,
Right.
Max. So now, Ramon, let me know if you can hear us, dude.
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
There you
Excellent. So
go.
Ramon Chavez is now joining us, and as I mentioned to you,
Ramon?
How you
Max,
doing, man?
as I mentioned to you, Max, earlier, and for those of you that may not know, Ramon Chavez covered the not the LAFC, but the Philadelphia Union for us, and Marco Fabian's shenanigans throughout the year with the Union. So we're bringing him on so he can talk to us about the Union and their chances in these MLS Cup playoffs. So Ramon, talk to us really quick about the Union, man. What did you make?
So since I started covering the Union, I think it was like late June, something like that. From what I've been reading and watching myself, it's just they've been really a surprise this season. Most people didn't expect them to be at the bottom of the table or anything like that, but certainly kind of like mid table status. But for a long time they were fighting for the top spot in the Eastern Conference. So you could really tell that team under the coach was really trying to either gel together and create some noise out there, because a lot of people weren't really giving them a chance. And so one of the things that really surprised me was the fact that they did so well for so long. Towards the end of the season, they had some injuries and some suspensions, but ultimately they got a playoff game at home. And then once they if they can take care of business, then they have a really good chance to have another one at home as well. So we'll see what happens with them. But so far it's been a really good season. In fact, they've won the most games since their inception, and have had the most points again since their inaugural season. So pretty good season so far for them. We'll see what they can do in the playoffs.
Hey, Max, are you a fan of the Union's coach?
Yeah, I like Jim. I think he's a guy that is an American coach, which less and less of these guys are getting these opportunities. And he's done really well as a former player, and he's gone through the right system to become a really good coach. And he's coupling up with a sporting director who is German, I believe, Ernst Tanner, or Austrian, and learning to coexist there and take in new ideas. So he's really the young American coaches. Recently, you had Greg Vanny and a couple others, but he's like the one guy that's come up. So, me personally, I pull for him, so I'm happy. I remember when he was a player; he was a great guy.
Nice. Hey, what do you think of the game, the upcoming game for the Union this weekend, Ramon?
I think what I wouldn't be surprised if they lost. Honestly, just I feel like sometimes they're off and on.
You shouldn't say that. We haven't gotten credentials yet for that game yet.
Come
Nice one,
on.
Ramon.
Oh no.
No, I don't want to say that they're gonna lose, obviously, but I feel like just with some injuries, I know Bedoya's out for a little bit, or he picked up an injury not long ago, and so we'll see, where that midfield is. Like I said earlier, they kind of stuttered towards the end of the season, collecting points and just getting the results, but that was because of suspensions, yellow cards, injuries. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if they lost, but if they won, I think they could really make some noise. Now, let's say they win, they might face the Atlanta United, and so that's always going to be, and most likely I believe that's going to be in Atlanta. So we'll see where it goes. I'm rooting for them. I want to see some Marco Fabian magic in the playoffs, and hopefully they get that W.
Hey, speaking of Marco Fabian, it was actually against the Galaxy where he ended up having that ankle injury. I remember we were covering that game, and we were excited because it was going to be, the Dos Santos and Antuna, Marco Fabian. It was like an all-Mexican affair, and Fabian gets injured, and out he goes, and that was that. Hey, Max, to you, how would you categorize Fabian's season?
It just interrupted. I think you haven't been able to. I mean, I think there's moments when he's played and he's looked like a serviceable guy, not the DP type star they were hoping for, but not completely just puddled out of nothing. I mean, he just had to deal with injuries so much, but good enough. And a guy, when the playoffs roll around, you'd be happy to look at and say, okay, we can get minutes from him. I know it's Ramon's talking about the injuries, but generally when they're close to being healthy, it's a tough decision to who makes the 11, and Marco Fabian's not a guy who's cemented his spot with that much regularity. But he's got enough class that you got to be excited to have him rather than not have him in this situation if you're the Union.
Hey, Ramon, in the Eastern Conference, would you say are the favorites to win it all?
Oh man, let me look at really quick up who's there. And New York, basically, I think they finished really strong.
New York
So
City
definitely
FC.
they're yeah, one of the contenders. Here's the thing about Atlanta. I don't think they're as good as they were last year, but I think they tied things up towards, they picked up, the level of play. Especially in the beginning they had some stumbles, but I feel like, it's just the two top seeds right now. Like I think they're really gonna go all the way. And so, I think I would pick that either New York or Atlanta to face the Western Conference finalists.
Hey Max, I don't want to presume anything, but if LAFC was to make it all the way to the MLS Cup final, who would give them the toughest challenge?
Ooh, well, there's not one team that really sticks out. You know what? LAFC went unbeaten against the Eastern Conference, so they
Oh,
played
wow.
everybody
That's a
and never
great
lost
stat.
a game. So they compete very well against Eastern Conference teams. I think New York City's the best team. I would have picked them. I think it's going to be a really tough situation, and now their home field is not completely confirmed because of the Yankees play there, and it's just a lot of stuff going on there. So I think there's going to be interruptions. But I think New York City is probably the team that would hurt them the most. They have really good players that can match up with some of the better players for LAFC.
Yep. Hey, Ramon, any final words or thoughts regarding the Union and Marco Fabian?
It's going to be interesting. This is where he's going to basically, I think the Union will decide whether to pick up his option or maybe try to see if they can kind of come to an agreement. Like when he came into the team, he was expected to kind of be that superstar DP player. But due to injuries or even getting called up to the national team, the Mexican national team, yellow card and a suspension here and there have really hampered his kind of growth within the team. The goal differential when he's on the field, citing this article that I found, was that he's the Union is -6 when Fabian's on the field, but when they have El Cino on the field, they're +27. So I think it kind of tells. What was that?
No, we're shocked by that stat.
Oh yeah,
It's crazy.
Yeah, and so there's a big gap. I don't think it's Fabian's fault per se. Again, injuries have have affected that, but definitely this is the time to make his move. I know there's been rumblings, by a Fox Deportes journalist that Chivas is looking to bring him back.
Yeah, well,
honestly, if I'm the Union, I'd bring him back for at least one more year and see what happens. When he had that ankle injury earlier in the year, it took him like 3 months to kind of get his groove going again. And so I don't think it's been fair, quote unquote, for him to be judged, because of the expectations. But, he can make his stamps in the playoffs and make all of that go away. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Sounds great. Hey, thanks a lot for your time, Ramon. We really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Anytime. Take care, guys.
All right, dude. So that was Ramon Chavez, our ETO Philadelphia Union contributor. Now, Super keeps on looking at me. I think he has something up his sleeve. I'm wondering if he knows who ended up winning the question number 3. Did anybody get it right?
Oh, well, yeah.
Hey, what was question number 3 again?
Oh, well, yeah, let's Max.
All right. Max.
Yes.
So what is the combined number of goals and assists Vela obtained?
All right, so he had I had 34 goals. I know that. I'm not looking. I did not see.
Come on,
34 goals, and I thought 15 assists, so 49.
49. Yeah, you're right.
All right, so who got that?
The only reason I thought was maybe he had an assist that I didn't count in the game against Colorado, but he scored all 3 goals, so that couldn't have been the case.
Did anybody get that?
He assists himself.
Did anybody before
myself?
Before we cut it off?
Chaser, yeah, but I think but we took a little too long there. I think he Googled it right there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so they were able to Google.
He's
so
ahead.
did you Chaser again?
He's ahead. So.
Oh well, he's got 2. He's got 2 questions.
Yeah.
Correctly. All right. Now we're gonna switch gears to Liga MX Super.
All right.
It returns this week after the FIFA break. And I wanted to talk really quick about Veracruz first. So.
Man, come on.
Veracruz is a team that we've been talking about a lot in the podcast because of Chivas. The Americanistas love to talk about Veracruz and Chivas and comparing the two as though they're one of the same or one in the same. But hey, Max, so it turns out that there could potentially be a boycott by the Veracruz players because of money situations. Apparently, it turns out that they need to be paid at least 50% of their backed wages. And if not, they're going to, not show up for the game against Tigres. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how the Liga MX allowed this to happen. What is happening?
So much money out there, right?
The first division, if you can't have a first division, I understand why there's money in it, but the league's got me. This is a deadbeat. The owner and the club, you got to let it go, and it's bad.
It is bad. The thing of it is that's how they started the season, because if they didn't pay the amount that they needed to be paid, 120 million pesos, I think it was.
Yeah.
That's got to be killing these employees to know that.
Dude, he paid that in the last minute.
Yeah.
The last minute, there was like an opening window. They said if you don't pay within 4 hours, you're out for this season.
What kind of place does business like this?
Exactly, dude.
It's like what's his McCall?
He's out of words.
What's his name? I'm at a loss for words. It's like the Untouchables in Chicago. No ambition. This is crazy.
Oh man,
it is. It's just and the thing of it is that it's not right.
Yeah.
The guy has no. I don't know if he's just no clue what he's doing with his money but. Think about it. Just think about it. All these people that they're not getting paid. It's not just the players.
Right.
It's the staff. The staff that that make
course.
pennies.
I will say it's good to have a team in Veracruz, in that part of Mexico, away from Mexico City and Nuevo León and those kind of places, and Jalisco. It's good to have a club there. But if they can't make men's meet, I mean, there's a lot of border town clubs now as well in the north of Mexico. I think it's good to have Veracruz, but hey, if they can't be part of it, they shouldn't be part of it.
Yeah, well,
and those employees have to be made whole.
Well, hey, Max, maybe you can buy the team, and we'll go down there and
we can put a team in Oaxaca. Oh wait, they already have one, right?
Yeah.
Oh yes, Alebrines. Go pass the hat around.
So that's really tough when you think about that. My concern with this particular situation is how it's something that definitely does not appeal to players from the outside, if you think about it, So if Liga MX is trying to lure more top caliber players and they hear of news like this, I mean, what does that say to them?
Well, yeah, that doesn't really, this is just like a bad stain on the league. Yeah,
well, that's all it takes is just one stain.
Yeah.
To be a stain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
that's my point.
I don't, like I said, I don't think players that are trying to come here, they're looking really at the bottom of the.
I understand that, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying though is like even for like younger players too, if they're trying to like get any of the good young players out there.
Well, yeah,
Right.
but the when the teams the players that come, like let's say from South America,
Right.
when they come here, they come because somebody like Monterrey, America, they go
Give them
out
a
there
big
and they pay the
wad of
good
money
money.
in a brown paper bag.
They pay good money, for these players. So that's not gonna. This is just more of a bad administration that the league did, and like I said, a stain, and it shouldn't happen. They shouldn't allow that to happen. I don't know. It sucks.
Mm.
Yep.
Hey Max, I want to ask you about the MLS and Liga MX competitions.
Hey guys, I actually have to run, man.
Give me here.
All right, I gotta go in a couple minutes.
All right, here's your last question. All
All
right,
right.
your last question, dude. Liga MX and MLS, they're gonna be expanding their the Super League, or what are they calling it now?
Yeah, it
The
was
Leagues Cup.
Leagues
yeah.
Cup, yeah.
16. All right, so it's gonna be 16 teams now, right?
Yeah.
Well, no,
something like
I
that.
wanted to bring that up really quick because we don't really get Max to come on with us, and
There you go.
I just want to get his take. What needs to happen? Should they just merge MLS and Liga MX, or are these little tournaments gonna be the answer?
Realistically, they can't merge them.
Yeah.
Why?
There's too many owners now in Major League Soccer that have paid a lot of money to get into this league, and now you're going to tell them, hey, we're going to do a super league with Mexico, so you might be in a second division. I don't know how you can do it. It's if there is like some sort of playoff. Look, if there's time to do it, I would love to focus MLS to focus on Liga MX and play against Liga MX exclusively. That sounds great to me, but there's always the way it currently resides, whether it's the CONCACAF Champions League, it doesn't really help the MLS teams. The timing of the Super League does, but once it came around, the MLS teams that were in it just weren't quite ready for it. And we can't keep making excuses for MLS, although the Campeones Cup, at least Atlanta won. That was a good sign. I think it's a great idea. I think Mexico and the United States have to rely on each other in so much, but I think you have expanded so much in Major League Soccer. I don't know how you have a league here with Mexico unless you can create different tiers of teams, but I don't know if that's possible.
All right. Hey, Max, thanks a lot for joining us, dude. We really appreciate your time.
I love you guys. I like you more, Joe, a little more than Mojado, but I love you guys.
Come on. Come on, Max.
We'll catch you next time.
I voted for you, Mojado. I voted for you.
I remember that. I will never forget.
All right, we're going to move on to our last question. I know that Max is probably not going to know the answer for this one. But how many goals against has Chivas allowed this season?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know that at all. So how many games have there been? Like 13, 14?
Through 13 rounds.
13. Let's say they probably averaged 2.5 goals. So let's say 33.
Oh, man. All right, let's not give up the answer. Yes.
All right, Max. Thanks a lot, brother.
All right, buddy.
All right, take care, dude.
You guys.
Peace out. All right, so there you have it, guys. So how many goals has Chivas allowed this season? Goals against, all right? So we're going to give you guys 30 seconds.
Yes, and
30 seconds from the moment it pops up on YouTube, because I know there's like a little delay too. All right.
So, yeah, that's right. All right.
All right. So super. I mean, I'm excited that Liga MX returns. Let's remind everybody about the ET Okinawa returning as well.
Yes, don't forget.
The ET Okinawa, again, just to remind all of you, it's free. You can find it on el3online.com. And basically all you got to do is just register it if you haven't already. And it's a simple pick 'em. You know, all you got to do is just pick your prediction of which teams are going to end up winning the result. You get a couple of points, bonus points, and if you end up picking the correct prediction, it's 5 points for the winner and 3 points bonus for the correct
the score
result.
No?
Yeah,
the result.
Correct. All right, so before we start wrapping up here, Super, let's talk about the weekend. I mean, Chivas taking on Monterrey. How are you liking your Chivas chances?
Well, it's time, man. They have to start getting some points. Otherwise, they're gonna be in Veracruz spot next season. So
I saw Luis Bravo already.
Oh yeah, they're over here.
Oh my God. So it's true though. I mean, Chivas needs to snap out of it, man. And I just don't see them doing that. I think that the season's already gone, and mathematically, obviously, they still have a chance, but it's kind of like damage control now.
Yes. Well, I'm more looking forward to see what's going to happen with this Ricardo Peláez and situation. Is he coming to the team or...
See, but I keep on going back to the dinosaurs, brother.
But it's like at the end of the day, this guy has experience. When you're gonna hire someone, but he's not gonna come in as a coach. He's coming.
No, I know, directivo, right, or something like that. I mean, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. He's gonna end up bringing his friends and the people that he's well connected with.
But he has done good things in other teams, Joe. That happens everywhere though. Just like
where's the meteor? I want the meteor. That's what I want.
Well, I know, but tell him. Okay, let's put it in your.
Okay.
Who would you bring to Chivas that is gonna give you results that you can put your trust in them to get them out of this hole that they've been in for so long?
I would bring somebody who is not afraid.
But give me names. I want to know who do you think that would be a good. Like a savior for this team,
Well, I mean, it's impossible to say that one single person could be the savior of this team.
Yeah, but the guy is coming with his team, and like you said, whoever shows up, they bring all their.
I keep on going back to the younger guys. But that's what I keep. I don't know. I mean, I'm not like super locked into like whoever's working or whoever has a chance. You know, you want to know who I would bring? I would bring somebody like Tato Noriega. And the reason why we bring a guy like that is because that guy, if you think about it, unlike all the other players who have been part of this system, because it's a system, right? Tato, I feel like as though like Tato's not as engulfed in that field, or not just Tato, but like somebody like who's been like part of like television for a long time. You know what I mean? Who hasn't been a coach or a directivo or something like that. I know that a lot of them get kind of washed up. Somebody actually was bringing up Osvaldo Sanchez.
Okay,
right?
But now I understand what you're saying, and
Okay.
I see your point of view there. But you got to bring them in when the team is like, in a good position. You cannot bring them just to let's see what happens. That's not what you want when you're in a desperate situation.
Right.
You want someone that has the experience, that's gonna be able to
But I understand what you're saying. We all want somebody that has experience, right?
yes.
But you also have to like be unconventional, think outside the box too. And I go back to the example that I pointed out the other day about the NFL, teams who finally ended up bringing in a young coach. Will it work? I don't know. I mean, it worked and it worked for the Rams, right? I think Chivas' problem is much more deeper too. It's not just the coach. It's a bunch. They have to do like a complete revamp. I think that the Vergaras have to sell the team. To be honest,
well, yeah.
I think that's probably
But
that's probably what needs to happen. But who's willing to pay that much money?
Exactly.
I don't know. Hey, so really quick, I want to give a couple of shout outs to the people listening. Ivan Garcia, he's tuning in, so we want to say what's up to Ivan, all the way from San Jose, California. He's actually been a loyal follower of El Tri Online, as I won the Quinela, participating in the Quinela several times before we did our computer-based Quinela. A shout out to our guys, Leo Hernandez, Luis Bravo, despite his hate for Chivas, Slim Lopez, Oscar Cruz as well, Digit Chaser, a bunch of other guys. So, thanks to all of you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate the support. We want to end up with our final question of the trivia for today. And we mentioned it. How many goals?
Yeah.
Did anybody answer?
Yeah, we got a bunch of them that answer. So,
okay.
So they got it right.
So who got it right? Who are the winners?
Louis got it, 21. Ivan Garcia, 21. Leo Hernandez,
Oh, so they all got
it.
They all got a chance.
Yeah, DJ Chaser, but we got a winner, I guess.
All right. So the winner
got 3.
So the winner for today's today's trivia is gonna be Digit Chaser, right?
Yes.
All right. So Digit Chaser is gonna be our winner. So congratulations to him for participating in the trivia. We'll probably have to find a better way to do this, or maybe have somebody else just like pay attention, so that way we don't give them too much time to do the research online, right?
Yeah, but that was an easy one though. You can just Google that real quick. And
but you gotta Google it,
right?
know? Yeah. You still gotta Google it. You still have to click and type how many goals the Chivas. You know what I mean? So he was the faster with his thumbs, I guess.
Yes,
if he's on his phone.
Yeah.
Super. You got any last words? Any final words for today?
Well, just looking forward to the game tomorrow. I know it's just another, we got to play it against Panama, and looking forward also to the weekend on the Philly game. We're going to be there if you want to let people know that.
Absolutely.
Look for us during that game, and let's see if Marco Fabian does a good job, at least in playoffs.
I just wanted to play. Last time we were out there, we went to the LAFC Philly game. He wasn't even, he wasn't there because
he wasn't even in the bench,
Right. So that makes it
I
really.
don't know. Maybe he went to Parranda or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So as Super mentioned, we're gonna be at the Philadelphia Union versus the New York Red Bulls MLS playoff game this Sunday. So if you happen to catch us or see us there, make sure that you say hello to us. And we're cool. We're cool like that, right?
Yeah. Well, come take a picture with us, or something. So I guess
we're done.
We're done, man. What else? There's so much stuff to talk about. Well, we can't be here 2 hours.
No. Max actually ran off on us. It was funny.
Right?
I didn't think that he was gonna be you know,
Stick around for
for that long. You know, so kudos to Max again. So I want to thank Max once again for joining us today. I also want to thank Ramon Chavez for stopping by and talking to the ETO podcast. Hopefully we get our big guy, Luis Perez, back on the ETO podcast. Yes. Luis, if you're listening to this, we miss you. Big shout out, dude.
Stop hiding, man.
Well, I miss you. I guess Super just wants you to stop hiding. And the rest of the ETO crew, thank all of you. I want to thank all of you for the support and for Super. I'm Joe.
All right.
Till next time. Peace out.